Hey guys, how's 56 here? Wait, let me turn up my volume. Hey guys, how's 56 here? Today I'm going to react to the new Tales from the Scrap Siding 3 Old Stomping Grounds. Alright, let's begin. Now, I always love these, even though I don't like Halloween personally, and I'm not gonna show why, but oh well, let's just go. Old Stomping Grounds.
Toby has worked on the island of Sodor for many years and knows many parts of the island very well. One part of the island he knows the best is Thomas's branch line, where he works with his faithful coach Henrietta. Another part of the island he knows very well was a little tramway north of the island, known as the Arlesdale Tramway. When he came to Sodor, Toby worked on that little tramway for years until the buses and lorries took his work and it closed down. Luckily, Sir Tom Hatt purchased him to work on Thomas's branch line after the tank engine had a run-in with a disgruntled constable. While Toby was happy to have been saved, he couldn't help but have dark thoughts about how bad it would have been had things been different. One evening, Sir Tom Hatt came to see Toby.
Now, recently, Oliver had rediscovered your old line while on a late-night mill run, which we have since restored. We're going to have a reopening party at the end of the line, and it wouldn't be right to have it without you or Henrietta. Tomorrow you will both be cleaned and polished, and we'll take some important people to the ceremony.
Yes, sir,
said Toby, trying his best not to show his nervousness. When Sir Tom Hatt left, Toby's face fell.
What's wrong, Toby?
Asked Thomas.
I thought you'd be happy to be revisiting your old railway again.
Toby sighed.
I wish I could be happy. But whenever I think about my old line, I can't help but have bad thoughts about what could have happened had Sir Topham had not bought me.
Don't think about what could have happened,
Thomas said reassuringly.
Be glad for what did happen. You were bought and have been working with us ever since. That's all that matters.
Toby knew Thomas was right, but he was still nervous as he went to sleep. The next day was very foggy and rainy as Toby and Henrietta set off down the line for the Arlesdale Tramway. Toby was nervous as he puffed along. Not helping was the fact that no one else was out, not even other engines. It made him feel isolated. Toby reached Callan and made his way to a set of points, which led him into the mountainous and wild part of Sodor. The fog seemed to get thicker as Toby made his way along the first stretches of his line. As he made his way along, he could make out the shape of the first station along his line, Lower Arlesborough. He felt a bit of relief until he got closer. The station building had vines draping from its windows, its roof missing many tiles, vegetation growing from the platform and the road running beside it. A small pond had flooded, submerging the sleepers which squelched as Toby ran over them. Toby was horrified at the state of the station.
Why would Sir Topham had not restored this part of the line?
He wondered. His concern grew as he reached the village of Marthwaite. Many of the buildings had vegetation growing around them, with parts of some buildings collapsed. The river seemed to have risen in the time since Toby had last visited, the water uncomfortably close to the tracks. Toby then began to climb through the rocky terrain that made up the second half of his old route. He looked around him for Castle Arl. He could have sworn he could see it collapsed, with only the base remaining, but it was hard to tell through the fog. But what he was sure of was that he was crossing a dam known as the Great Wall, which was built to stop the water from flooding Marthwaite, but seemed to have many leaks through the moss-ridden stones. The dam felt like it was going to collapse as Toby crossed over it.
Why did they send me down here? My line is in ruins!
After the dam, Toby made his way around the Great Lake. He crossed a small wooden bridge. Its rotten wood creaked like it would break with Toby on it, but luckily he made it to the other side of the lake. This half of it ran under a long and tall cliff face, which Toby felt crumbling as if there was about to be a rock slide that would knock him into the lake.
So this is a rewrite of Toby and
The fog was thicker than ever as Toby finally reached Arlesdale End. He could just make out the station through the fog and felt a sense of relief that his nightmarish journey was over, but it was about to get worse. He approached the station and was horrified at the decayed state of it. Vines and ivy wrapped around the building like shoelaces. The roof almost completely caved in. Moss coated the platform, which had trees and other vegetation growing out from between massive cracks and holes. But the worst was yet to come as Toby slowly passed the station and saw the shape of his old shed. He slowly approached it and came to a stop just in front of the decayed building. The shed door slowly creaked open, revealing something inside. Toby couldn't see it at first, but when he did, he felt the water in his boiler go cold as ice. There, in front of him, was the decayed husk of a tram engine, one of a similar shape to him. Its wood was rotting, its cowcatchers and side plates splattered with rust, and the front of it having fallen apart, revealing a smoke-box door from within the rotting shell. Toby closed his eyes in terror.
That was unsettling without it actually being
Wake up,
scary.
Toby.
Toby opened his eyes. He was back in the three-row sheds at Tidmouth. His surroundings were clear as it was day, not an ounce of fog.
Come on, Toby. We'd best get you cleaned up and looking your best for the reopening.
Said his driver.
Oh, yes, of course.
Toby said, shaken from his dream. Toby and Henrietta were soon looking their best. They picked up their important passengers and set off for the Arlesdale tramway. Toby went through Callan Station and made his way down the old line. When he reached Lower Arlesborough, he was surprised to see that the station looked even better than it did when he was working on the tramway. The pond beside it had been filled in, and in its place was a garden full of brightly colored flowers. Toby thought it was lovely. As Toby passed Marthwaite, several people were near the tracks. They cheered as he made his way through the village. Its buildings and houses looked well kept. From there, Toby passed the ruins of Castle Arl. The castle was worn down more than it was when he had last passed it, but seeing it again made the little tram engine feel warm inside. Toby then crossed over the Great Wall. While the stones were worn and mossy, there were no leaks. Toby was so happy about the condition of the rest of his old tramway that he couldn't be nervous about the questionable state of the dam. After a short time, Toby made his way to the Great Lake. As he crossed the trestle, he could see that the timbers were brand new.
They must have rebuilt this trestle.
He thought to himself.
Good thing, too. That old thing always creaked when I went across it.
As he went around the cliffside, he looked out towards the lake.
They did a wonderful job restoring my old line.
Puffed Toby to himself. He forgot all about the nightmare he had had, and was excited to see the last stop on the line. As he pulled into Arlesdale End, he could see that the station looked as good as new, just like how Toby remembered it. The station was decorated with banners and balloons, with a banner reading, Grand Reopening. Across and over the tracks was a banner reading, Welcome Home, Toby. Below it was a large red ribbon. Toby was so happy he felt his boiler would burst. He then looked beyond them towards his old shed. As he did, he noticed a set of points, with one track leading to his shed, and another track curving away, which Oliver was on. His very important passengers climbed out of Henrietta. Sir Topham Hatt was among them. Sir Tom Hatt made his way to a podium on one end of the station and spoke.
Many years ago, our Toby worked on this quaint little tramway with his faithful coach, Henrietta. Both served this line for many years until it closed down, and I brought them to work on Thomas's branch line. Some time ago, Oliver had accidentally rediscovered this line when he went the wrong way on a mail run. I am pleased to announce that this happy accident was what inspired me to reopen this old line for tourists, as well as to serve the villages the line runs along once more. Arsdale End will serve as a spot for visitors to have tea and crumpets, and given our Toby has worked on this line for many years, it is only right that he be relocated to his old stomping grounds.
Oh, sir!
Cried Toby.
Do you mean it?
Sir Tom Hatt chuckled.
I wouldn't have it any other way. I declare the Arsdale Tramway reopened. Toby, puff forward and cut the ribbon. Then make your way to your shed. There's a surprise waiting for you there.
Toby puffed forward and snapped the red ribbon. Everyone cheered as he did so and made his way towards the shed. Toby stopped just outside of it, and when he looked inside, he felt an overwhelming sense of joy. Inside were various photographs of the tramway, along with plaques detailing the history of it.
When you're busy during the day, your old shed will be used as a small museum for people wanting to know the history of your old line. And as for the new addition,
he said, referring to the points in the new line Oliver was on.
I have extended the line to loop around and connect to Thomas's branch line, so you can get there quickly if need be.
The festivities carried on for the rest of the day until the evening, before Oliver left to return to the Little Western. Toby spoke to him.
Thank you for finding my old line.
Oh, that's alright,
Replied Oliver.
though I don't think I'll make it a habit of getting lost and rediscovering old things.
The two engines laughed, and Oliver set off for home. Toby looked towards Arsdale End Station and gave a blissful sigh and smile as he drifted off to sleep. Toby now works on his tramway to serve the villages along it, as well as taking visitors to see his sights along his route and to Arsdale End. Toby no longer has bad thoughts about his tramway or what could have happened had he not been bought. And while he does miss Thomas's branch line, and is happy whenever he gets a chance to return to it when needed, he is also very glad to once again work along the tramway he loves, and would have many more adventures on over the years. Toby was glad to be back on his old stomping grounds, and he wouldn't give them up for anything in the world.
Thomas Fan 95. Heard that name before. Toby Pro, of course. So, that was something. I mean, it was good, but oh well, it was good. All right. See you guys later.